Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here in lovely Seekonk for Your Essential Nature. My name is Shawn Aceto. This is my lovely co-host, Kimberly Testa, joining us here today.
Hi.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm well.
So driving here today, I realized, you know what you never hear? You never hear I was being tailgated by a Prius.
That's what you were thinking about on the way here?
So what's going on with you?
Oh man, lots of stuff. You want to get on topic?
No. So fun. So it's the end of June.
Yeah.
Kids are getting out of school. Things are changing. It's into camping season. So when I like to remind everyone that Bigfoot is out there, everyone in the audience too.
There's a Bigfoot in the audience.
There's a Bigfoot out there. There's something I think everyone should look at this time of year. It's a presentation by Lloyd Pye. It's called Everything You Know Is Wrong. And it gets into some different theories that not everyone would agree with. But one of the things he says, and this was taken in 2000, he filmed it before he passed away, there were over 10,000, since 1950, over 10,000 Bigfoot sightings, castings, hairs, footprints taken since 1950. So what are the odds that all of them are fake?
Well, I believe in Bigfoot. Big fat.
Big fat. We'll get to that too.
Definitely. I mean, there's so much that, well, see, this goes into all of like what's real and what isn't real.
Yeah.
You know, and what's real in this dimension and what isn't. Because I have been led to believe that Bigfoot doesn't totally reside in this dimension.
Yeah, I've heard that too, and it's all a theory, and that's what people get hung up on. They say that's a theory, but what Lloyd Pye talks about is Darwin's theory, and everyone forgets the theory part when they talk about Darwin.
Yeah.
And he clearly illustrates that there's something wrong with it, and he goes into some of Sitchin's theories and talks about that. And you don't have to believe that, but the important part is to look at what he presents, how he presents it. And remember that when you go camping. So when you hear something out in the woods, that might be Bigfoot.
That's why I don't go camping.
Well, I lived in a tent for 6 months, so I got all my camping done at once. So I don't have to go ever again.
All right. I had no idea we were talking about this today. Bigfoot. Okay.
So I had the opportunity to watch TV this week, which I don't always for a number of reasons. It kind of grates on me a lot, but the term that came to me that I wanted to talk about was irresponsible illnesses. Mm-hmm. Now, when you watch TV, there's something interesting you see. Every other commercial, depending on which show you're watching, the commercials are targeted to a specific demographic. But every other commercial, every third commercial is about drugs. It's about pharmaceutical drugs. And it's about pharmaceutical drugs that you need a prescription for. So it makes me wonder why are they advertising to me? I can't go out and get those. Why are they targeting me to convince my doctor that I need that? You ever thought about that?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, they don't advertise cancer drugs or AIDS drugs because people that need them, they know they need them. So why are they trying to convince us we need drugs? But what I find in that is the irresponsible part, okay? When you see these ads and you look at the side effects that are this long, you know, anal leakage, coughing, digestive issues, anxiety, nausea, vomiting, sleeping, frequent urination, all these different side effects. It's not worth it. But the irresponsible comes in the idea that most of what these drugs are targeting are a result of an irresponsible lifestyle. Wham.
Well, I don't know, because the doctors have only been taught to prescribe drugs. And so we're going to get into a whole thing.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
You know, about conspiracies and everything. And that's without the theory as well.
But we don't have to get into that part of it.
But, you know, the doctors are funded by the pharmaceutical industry.
Right, but if we take it out of the doctors, we take the conspiracies out, we leave it with the individual, and the way people live their life now that leads them to be the way they are.
Well, this is about belief as well, because, so I'll give you an example. This is
Okay.
actually kind of timely. So I had a client this week, and I don't see her too often. She was really, really ill. First time she came to see me, really ill, had no idea what was going on. And I kept seeing, I'm like, you have some sort of an infection. Just keep getting tested. You have an infection. So she came to see me, and again this week, and she said, I have Lyme. It's been a long adventure with Lyme, and trying to, going between the doctors that the insurance will pay for, right? Who many of them don't believe in Lyme, or they don't know how to test for Lyme, and then the doctors that she has to pay out of pocket for, who know how to test for Lyme and know how to treat it their way. Okay, so she's in this world between the doctors who want to give her
prescribable illness,
antibiotics, okay, and then the doctors who want to help her treat naturally. In addition to that, she has Candida, and I get it because I've also been going through this whole Candida thing and the diet and everything, and the last thing you want is antibiotics.
Right.
So there's this whole struggle, and to watch her, someone who's extremely intuitive and knows in her gut, and she knew that what they were originally trying to tell her she had, that it was fake. It wasn't real. Okay,
but it's something that they can get reimbursed for by the insurance companies.
So now she's like in the middle, and she's playing this sort of balancing act, and it's starting to tip now, and she's moving more into the alternative medicine world, which is actually curing her. Mm-hmm. Because when she was on all those drugs months ago, she was in a very, very bad place. And now that she's doing the alternative therapies, she looks amazing. I mean, she's still really ill, but she looks so much different than when I saw her last time. Yep. So, the beliefs come into this as well, because she does believe that the alternative, the natural medicines are going to help her. And so that's going to work for her. And like you said before, the people who need cancer medications, like I lit up at that, because I don't believe people necessarily need cancer medications.
No, but you don't have to advertise them.
But they're taught that they need it.
So take this a step further, okay? Here's someone who's navigating through their health care, okay? And they're being bombarded with advertisements with stuff that they think they need. And Lyme is one of those funny gray areas that's like this big on the medical charts.
Huge.
And so they need to get into there. But what you find is sometimes people are stuck with, well, do you take insurance?
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly.
And it makes me wonder, are they willing to invest in their own health, or are they completely placing it in somebody else's hands, saying, here, you take care of this, you pay for this, and I'll just show up to the appointments as long as you're paying for it.
Right, precisely.
If you could, for something like Lyme, you can go and have literally tens of thousands of dollars worth of tests. Mm-hmm. You can buy a bag of diatomaceous earth for $15 and probably treat the Candida and the Lyme, because it's going to clean out your system. But people are reluctant to do that because, one, it's not going to be covered by their insurance company, and they have to take money out of their own pocket to do it. And also because it's not prescribed by a doctor that they don't necessarily have any more faith in anyway.
The whole doctor, I mean, that's a subject.
So what do you do? Well, we're going to get to that later when we get to our letters.
And I want to point out, too, as well, because, I have a son, he's in the audience, and he goes to elementary school, and he gets sick once in a while. He has a cold, he has a bad cough, or he has a fever, and the school, the school department that he's in, they want doctor's notes for everything. Yeah. And like, why are you...
That's what your body does when you let it heal itself.
Right. Why do I need to go to the doctors all the time? And to prove to them, like, I called in last year because I didn't have enough doctors and notes for him because he was sick. Like, I'm the mother. I know he's sick. Why do I have to go to a doctor to prove that my son shouldn't have been in school?
So back to the theories of evolution, okay? So what you're saying is that the body shows up certain symptomology when it's sick, which means it's fighting something that it doesn't want. That's a natural process.
It's doing what it's supposed to do, exactly.
Alone.
Yeah.
But when you approach the medical community with it, basically what they're saying is that their knowledge is superior to that of your own body, which has been evolving for thousands, millions of, hundreds of years in that mechanism. And I've said this before, that every technology we have is really an attempt to recreate a component of the human body. So when your son is homesick, whether he's really sick or not, that's another question. But when he's homesick,
Yeah.
and he's resting, that's when the body heals.
Exactly.
That's the body doing what the body does, what the immune system is supposed to do.
Right. And the pharmaceuticals compromise our immune systems. And the
Very much so.
diets, the foods, all the processed foods compromise our immune system.
And we're given an abundance of choices. See, people didn't get that sick 100 years ago because their options were very limited. Their food options were very narrow, and that's one of the things I think about when I hear irresponsible illness. If you remember, I know you haven't eaten in months, okay, and you probably feel fantastic. But if you were to go out and gorge yourself, okay, and get a big plate of pasta and a hamburger and some fries and some ice cream,
So I don't eat any of
the
those
last thing, right? I'll eat them for you. But the last thing anyone ever says or does after that is want to do anything. Nobody eats that much and says, I'm going to go take on the world. I'm going to go make $1 million right now. I'm going to go work my butt off. What do you want to do? You want to sleep because your body isn't meant to handle that much food at once. So if you could take these people back, and sugar is another one. I know you know firsthand.
Testify.
I love sugar. I'll be the first one to admit it.
Yeah.
Ice cream is like kryptonite, and Oreos. But 100 years ago, and Dr. Dyer talks about this in one of his presentations, if you went back 100 years ago, the average person consumed less than 30 grams of sugar a day. At this point now in our culture, it's close to 300 grams.
It's crazy.
So what is that doing to your system?
It's amazing. I mean, it's been 3.5 months since I've had any sugar, okay? And I went through quite a detox from it all. And, you know, I have to make all my food. I can't eat anything anywhere and anything that's packaged. So it really made me really pay attention because I didn't consume many packaged foods to begin with.
Right.
Sugar is in everything, absolutely everything.
Ketchup, 4 grams, a teaspoon of ketchup, 4 grams of sugar.
Yeah, we got some sushi today, and I looked at the soy sauce.
All sugar.
Full of sugar.
Well, something's got to make that stuff taste good. It's not going to do it all by itself.
Yeah. But, you know, so another thing that came up, and which came up with my client this week, too, as she was talking, and, you know, during the session, I was just contemplating how many people are really ill and how many people have Lyme, and all of the people that I know who have it, and how when I briefly had Lyme, I was approached by many people who, from different aspects, you know, I do the medical route, I do this, I do that, and everyone has their, you know, their input. But I really came to realize how, in some way, this is the information that came to me, was that this illness is actually helping us.
Yes.
Because it's causing people who are not seeing results from the medical community to start to convert back to natural medicine, where they actually are seeing the results. At least this is from the people that I've seen in you know, in my circles.
It's also created a tremendous amount of research.
Absolutely.
I think that's
it's shifting.
Higher benefit of that,
Yeah.
is that the research, a lot of stuff is being found on the way to discovering what it is, and I'm not convinced that it's one thing that's just this wild disease that nobody can cure. I'm not completely sold on that. Again, I think it goes back to something I learned in computer science years ago. I was smart once, it's true. Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
If you eat like crap, you're going to feel like crap, and your body isn't going to do what it's going to do.
Well, that's part of it.
All you got to look around is, I'd say, in people's cars, but really you look on the side of the road, and what do you see everywhere? You see coffee cups that are like that big.
Right.
You know, here, have your gallon of sweetened coffee with caffeine and sugar, and you're going to feel great.
Right.
So for these people out there that are sick all the time, and you know them, they're chronically sick, they're invested in being sick, they'll spend 20 minutes describing every nuance of their illness, they're specialists, they're doctors, so they're re-solidifying that within themselves. My suggestion for a lot of these people is stop eating. Don't eat what you're eating. if something isn't naturally occurring, even if it's beef, if you can eat meat or chicken or eggs or plants or vegetables, eat that for a month.
Yeah.
Don't watch TV. Get outside. Get off your couch. See how you feel after a month. Are you still sick? Do you want to be still sick? Or are you left with, well, what am I going to do now that I'm healthy and I feel good? I have no excuses not to do anything.
Well, most people won't make that commitment, and that's something that I've learned because I made that commitment
So
to clean
they're
up my
suffering
body,
from,
and it's not easy in this society. I
No.
can't go out to eat anywhere.
No.
I have to make my own food. I have to be prepared everywhere I go.
Yeah,
You know, I need to have some sort of like nuts or something that I can eat. I have to have my clean water.
So it goes back to what I was saying about an irresponsible illness.
Yeah.
If you're responsible, as you've been, maybe it's for the first time in your life, but you're responsible for what you're doing. You're thinking ahead, and nobody does that now. I'm guilty of it too. I'll fight someone over roadkill when I get hungry. It's happened. But you take responsibility for your health, your well-being, what you eat, what you're putting in your body, what you're surrounding yourself with, and your whole life can change.
But, I think it goes beyond that as well, because there are things that we are born with, tendencies, or,
Maybe.
we
But you have to agree to it.
we do have, at some level, you do have to agree to it. But, it's also part of our human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I was healthy, as far as I knew. I was healthy, I was fine until I wasn't. And then I realized that it was time for a deeper change because I had been someone who for years was slowly eliminating everything from my diet just from my own intuition. I quit coffee. One day I woke up and no more coffee. Oh, really? I have to quit coffee? Okay, I'll do it.
That was tough.
That was tough to quit smoking coffee.
Sure, that's
was
part
really
of
hard.
Part of what we're trying to do here with this show is to change people's lives one thought at a time.
Yeah.
One action at a time, one slight change.
And that's it, too, because people think that they have to change everything at once, and it's just too much.
Good
a little
luck.
bit at a time.
Good luck if you want to do.
time.
If you want to change everything at once, go to boot camp. Go in the military or something where you have no choices.
Yeah.
And that's a lot more like it was 100 years ago. You had to cut your own firewood. You had to make your house. You had to work. You had limited food sources, limited money. And as a result, you were a lot healthier. I think, anyway.
But not everyone.
No,
And then,
not
and
everyone.
it also comes down to beliefs, and it comes down to our thought patterns. It's complex. It's not just as simple as the food you eat.
But it comes down to choices and being responsible for your health. I saw something interesting the other day.
Is that the
No,
end
really.
of the story?
Someone had commented that they went in to eat somewhere and they were eating their meal and they're really enjoying it. And then someone asked them, "Oh, is there gluten in that?"
Yeah.
And then she remembered, "Oh, I'm gluten intolerant." So it leaves me saying, okay, so you just decided that you're going to be sick, you're going to have symptoms for that. Had that person not said anything,
Yeah.
would there have been that there?
It's interesting because I have to give my son different food because he can't eat this, what I'm eating. And I haven't had fruit also in 3.5 months. So I'm cutting up watermelon. And watermelon for me is one of my favorite things ever.
I wear it. I don't eat it, I wear it.
I just sniff it sometimes because I can't eat it. So I'm cutting it up for him. And then every once in a while I notice it's just an impulse to want to put it in my mouth. So it takes being present.
Being responsible.
Yeah.
Saying I'm not going to do that. And that's why I don't have sugar in the house. Because I know I don't have the willpower. My willpower lies at the store when I'm shopping.
Right.
To not bring it into my house because I will graze, I will eat it, I'll take it in the car with me. I'll stick it in my pockets, all of that stuff. Totally guilty of it.
Well, it came down for me to be really sick.
Yeah.
So I would stop it to force me to just stop.
So you can stay in that, or you can make a conscious choice, as you did, to move out of that and into your health.
But most people won't, and part of that is because this food is literally addictive.
And it's right at your fingertips.
Mm-hmm. It's in everything.
100 years ago, if you wanted ice cream, you had to go to the mountains, get ice, milk your cow, get the sugar cane, and then make it. It wasn't instant gratification. That's part of that addictive cycle with the food there.
And that's, part of my story as well is just realizing how addicted I was to so many things I didn't realize. Some very simple foods.
Yeah.
And also how I was addicted to foods that I was allergic to, because I found I had a lot of food allergies as well. And those were the things that I was craving.
Of course.
It's fascinating.
That's how I feel about Swedish fish. I just, give a man a Swedish fish and you can feed him for a day.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time.
Oh, that was fast.
And as always, we encourage you to write in youressentialnature@gmail.com. Give us your questions, your comments. Let us know what you might like us to touch on, share our perspective on, and hope that you change just one thought, one day, and that little change can make all the difference in the world. Any closing comments, Kimberly?
It's just that you have a little piece of glitter in your eyebrow, and it's just captivating. Yeah.
It's a sparkle in my eye. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.